来给我们做致辞哈。等一下我们会请 Judy 来给我们做介绍。那我先在与会开始之前呢，我会先跟大家稍微介绍一下我们的 Judy 哈，她是加拿大国际贸易委员会的主席，也是2003到2005年是移民部的部长，是加拿大，更同时呢也是加拿大台湾国会友谊小组的主席，所以他跟我们台湾基本上来讲是非常的有一个密切的互动哈。好，那我们就请 Daniel 来跟我们用英文的方式来介绍 Judy， 谢谢你。
Okay, so I'm happy to do the English part of the translation and introduce our friend, Judy. Judy is the current chair of International Standing Committee for the International Trade. She is also a former minister for citizen immigration between 2003 and 2005. She's also a very important part for our community is that she is also the chair of the Canada-Taiwan Parliamentary Friendship Group, which we love so much. We love her so much. And so I'll yield the floor to Judy Sgro, and Judy can introduce your colleague.
Thank you very much, Daniel and Annie, and welcome to everyone. It's a real thrill for me to be able to host this opportunity for us to see each other. Some of us haven't seen each other for a little while, and the faces are so familiar to me and such friendly people. So thank you for all participating today. Given the fact that we're going to do some translation back and forth, I want us to be able to get as much information out as possible on the budget, and also to ensure that you all have a chance to hear Minister Ng and some more information on our budget and upcoming events that we're going to have. So I think, as many of you know, Minister Ng has been elected as a member of Parliament since 2017. She is a devoted community leader that I know all of you know that for sure. She's also believed in the power of public service. She's got over 20 years of experience in education, women's leadership, job creation, and of course, entrepreneurship, which you all seem to know about. Minister Ng immigrated to Canada from Hong Kong with her family, grew up learning about the struggle and eventual success that many new immigrants experience in Canada. I am thrilled that Mary had agreed to join us today. It's been a very busy time since the budget has come down. There's a tremendous amount of achievements that Mary has been able to do and get into the budget that I know many of you will be interested to hear. So Minister Ng, welcome. Thank you so very, very much for agreeing to come and participate with our friends today. They very much appreciate it. So I'll turn the floor over to you.
Well, Judy, thank you so very much. And hello, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces here as well. So it's lovely to be able to see all of you virtually. I know it's been quite some time since we've all been able to see each other in person. And I hope that in not too long from now, we're going to be able to do that once again. Judy, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And it really is wonderful to see so many of the leaders in the Taiwanese business community that you have pulled together. And I just want to say something about my colleague, Judy. Judy, of course, is the chair of the Trade Committee, which I get to appear at from time to time at the committee's invitation. And she really does such a terrific job leading the efforts there. And it was just in March that Judy was along with me, albeit virtually, but we took a trade mission of female entrepreneurs to Taiwan in March, and it was really terrific that Judy was able to join. You certainly have a friend in my good colleague and a terrific member of Parliament and parliamentarians representing all of you, and certainly on behalf of all of the people in Humber River, Black Creek, in Ottawa. So it really is terrific and an honor to be able to be here and to work alongside my terrific colleague. Before I begin, I just want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Wendat people. And it's terrific that I also get an opportunity to share with you some of the highlights in the 2021 budget, which really has been historic. And it was announced a couple of weeks ago by our colleague, the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland. And in this budget, we believe that there will be real and lasting changes here in investments for millions of Canadians across Canada. And first, this budget really sets us up to finish this fight against COVID-19 so that we can keep Canadians healthy and safe. It has been very, very difficult for so many Canadians, and for all of you, many of you who own small businesses, I just want to say thank you. We have all done this as a country and as Team Canada. It has taken everyone doing their part in order to keep Canadians healthy and safe. And it has been very difficult for so many people, particularly our small businesses and our entrepreneurs who have had to weather through this. But what this budget is going to do is it's going to build back better, fairer, and more prosperous of a future for generations to come. We're making quick, responsible, and targeted investments so that we can put Canada on that path to a quicker recovery by accelerating both job growth and business growth. And the first step is making sure that we do finish this fight against COVID-19. And here for our businesses, we're extending the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy until September. I've heard from so many businesses that, that they have use these supports, and it really has been a lifeline for them because it's bridging them. It's getting them through this period of the pandemic so we can get to the other side. And of course, I also want businesses to know we've built in some flexibility. I mean, all of this is in an effort to give businesses the support until we can get to the other side of COVID-19. We are seeing optimism because more and more vaccines are getting into the arms of Canadians. But should the public health situation require it, and I hope it doesn't, but should it, we will have flexibility to go further with these emergency measures. All I'm saying here is that we've been with businesses right from day one, and I want to assure you, we will continue to be with you all throughout until we can get through this COVID-19. In this budget, though, we also announced that we are going to help businesses bridge to recovery. And for businesses, what's really important, as you've all said to me, is to be able to know what is there so that you can begin to plan to either bring people back or for some businesses to hire people back, but even hire new people. We still have about 500,000 Canadians, 500,000 Canadians who are underemployed or unemployed with reduced hours. So we're investing $600 million so that businesses like yours here can hire more workers and increase hours to those that you may already have. So we're introducing these measures so that we can encourage businesses to invest in themselves. And what do I mean by this? We've also heard from businesses that they will want to make some capital investments as they begin to open up. So here we're allowing for expensing of up to $1.5 million for those expenses and those capital investments that businesses make in themselves, because when you invest in yourselves, it will actually invest in jobs and growth. Many, many business leaders have said that to me. I've not talked to a business leader that doesn't talk about growth without making investments. And that's what this budget does. The other thing as well in this budget is it will, it's going to try to address and get more productivity, particularly those that have been very impacted in this budget, during COVID-19. So that's women, that's racialized Canadians. And if I speak about women for just a minute, over 100,000 Canadian women have left the workforce during this pandemic. I know they want to get back. We want them to get back. We know how crucial it is to make sure that women are back into the economy. Here, we're investing in this investment is going to be transformational. It's going to be transformational for the Canadian economy and for our communities. And that is by investing $30 billion over the next 5 years so that we can get to $10 a day national early learning and childcare. When we can look after families, then we are going to get the real ability of our terrific female entrepreneurs and business owners, small business owners who are females, back roaring. And we believe that this is going to make a real difference for parents who want to and who need to get back to work at full steam. We also recognize that the pandemic has had unequal impact on certain racialized Canadians. And here, for all of you and for me, I'm talking about the alarming rise of anti-Asian racism, which we have seen for over a year. Many of you have heard me speak, and my colleagues, and certainly Judy and everyone speak about this, our Prime Minister standing against this, about how important this is, and how we must fight against it. I know in speaking to so many communities, Asian communities across the country, how difficult this is. And in response to what we have been hearing and the work that we have been doing, one of the things that community groups have said to us in so many of these discussions is that they need some capacity to come together in a way to support Asian people, Asian businesses. So in the budget, we're going to invest $11 million over 2 years to help establish a national coalition to support Asian Canadian communities so that we can create a fund to support all racialized communities that are directly impacted by acts of racism as a result of this pandemic. So I wanted to share these things. I know that typically I talk specifically about the business supports, but I also wanted to speak to you on this very important topic because I know all of you, many of you are dealing with it as I have been in my own riding and across Canada. And on budget 2021, another really ambitious thing here certainly is to help businesses become more competitive, particularly our small businesses. I think many of you already know this statistic, but if you don't, I'll share it. 98% of all our businesses in Canada are small businesses. So it's really important that on this road to recovery that we're helping our small businesses. We have seen across the country and certainly here in the Greater Toronto area, some businesses that have done that have adopted digital technologies, right? So whether it's takeout or whether it's an ordering system, just utilizing a technology as a way of being able to pivot and continue to connect to your customers. So I'm very excited that in this budget, we're making a $4 billion investment for digital and technology investment. We're taking decisive action to lower credit card fees. And this is the most small business friendly government, the most small business friendly budget in Canadian history. And, you know, and I want to thank Judy. I want to thank all of the small businesses. We have listened very, very hard to businesses throughout this time so that this budget really can reflect the new realities that are here because of COVID-19. And we know, and one of those things, as I said, is a rapid shift to the digital economy. So businesses are moving online. And just to give you an example, more businesses have moved online in the last 6 to 12 months than have in the last 10 years. That's how quick this is taking place. So we know that we need to help businesses scale. We know that the speed of our recovery is going to be helping our small businesses reimagine themselves in this new digital landscape. I think about my own family's business growing up. You know, when I first came to Canada, my parents had a small restaurant, and I think what would happen, in fact, I have a picture of our menu on my wall from our restaurant, and I look at it every day, and I have been looking at that every day, you know, from the time this pandemic started, because you know, I was very young at the time, you know, working, well, I mean, I don't know if it's working. My parents probably said I made a mess, but anyways, going to the restaurant after school and on the weekends. But I look at that every day and I think, what would happen to us had this pandemic happened then? So things like rent support and the wage subsidy support, you know, I think about, you know, our wonderful driver who did the takeout delivery. By the way, I did it too when I turned 16, so I actually helped out. But you know, but keeping our people on staff. But it's also like, you know, as a restaurant who had to close their doors, what would we have done? Well, I think what we would have done is we would have used a digital, like we would have done an online ordering system so that people can get to us and they can pick up their delivery, or we could do, you know, curbside pickup or whatever. I think our business would have had to do that too, but that's what this budget will do. It's going to help our businesses be competitive and make that shift. It's important that we do that, help our businesses whether they're Main Street retailers. I always say, these days it's adding that click to your brick, right? I mean, your business is in the bricks, but we need to help you with the clicks as well. So helping with e-commerce to launch easy to use websites, but also manufacturers. I mean, I talk to manufacturers who get an order and they can't do the production in their manufacturing site. So helping them with technology to kind of increase that capability in production. So that's what this budget's going to be here for. It's to help our businesses grow with the right support so that small businesses, because when you do well, I know the Canadian economy does well because you are the job creators. And for us, we want to make sure we're creating the right environment, making those right investments in our recovery and in that long-term growth so that you can come back roaring back. This is the time to lean in. It's the time to be innovative, to be inclusive, to be sustainable to the future. And with that, I know that you're going to have a wonderful conversation with Judy. I unfortunately won't be able to stay. I'm doing several of these in the day, so I just want to thank again Judy so much for including me and for all of you to listen to me. And just to say, stay healthy and safe and know that your government is here. We've said this from the beginning, the Prime Minister and all of us, we've got your back and we're going to continue to work with you. It is in all of our interests to make sure that you get on that road to recovery and that you are supported. So with that, thank you so very much. And Judy, thank you again. And well, I'll see you Monday, but that is the truth. I will see my colleague on Monday, yeah. But all the very best to everyone here. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Minister Ng. I know that every single word that you have expressed, that all of the people were just listening to every word. And I thank you for taking the time. I know that there are a lot of demands on your time right now. And the fact that there was no hesitation from your part to come and to talk to everybody in the community and so on. So thank you very, very much, Minister, and off to your next event that you have, and we will see you on Monday. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
OK， 那这样子的话，我们的下一个阶段 our next stage would be for our very close friend Judy to introduce the budget and give us some update in terms of what the budget can do for us.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And again, hello to everyone there. I think certainly Minister Ng did a fabulous overview of everything that's in the budget. Many of the particular points that she made, I think, are of the key interest to all of you, whether we're talking about the wage subsidy or the emergency business account. The ability to be able to hire more workers is a challenge. I know in talking to some of you about how you're going to find answers to that. But also, as the Minister mentioned about moving into the digital age, something that maybe many of you never thought that you'd have a particular interest in. But the pandemic has hastened the economy's digital transformation as companies, workers, as Minister Ng mentioned, more and more businesses are being required to adopt new technology. So the question is, how's the government helping with that? So the government's put out $1.4 billion specifically to help companies, many of them, the people that are on this call, to convert into the digital age. So Canada will be working with organizations across Canada to provide access to the skills, training, and advisory services for all businesses to access the specific program, which is to try to get everybody into the digital. And also part of that would be to create training and work opportunities for as many as 28,000 young people to help small and medium-sized businesses across Canada adopt to the new technology. As I need help adapting to this new technology, I'm sure many of the folks that are on this call are a similar thing. It's technology that's there to help us all function better, but more importantly, to help businesses be more successful. So Daniel, we have quite a few people on the line there, and the Minister gave a very good overview of a variety of things. So I'd like to make sure that we have enough time so the participants can ask whatever questions they would like to ask, in addition to what they've heard today from myself and Minister Ng. So I'll turn it back over to you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you, Judy. So prior to this meeting, we have consulted with the director and organizer for this particular meeting, and we have come up with a few questions first. So I will be asking the first few questions, and perhaps Judy can share some light for us. Okay, so the first question is that, give me 1 second, let me just get that question up to you. Okay, it's related to small business. It has a follow-up. Okay, so most of our business members understand that the current CEBA has a loan up to $40,000 provided by the federal government. They are to be repaid back about $30,000 before February of 2022. Now, from the budget that we see that the deadline has been extended to December 2022, and it has increased the limit from $40,000 to $60,000. So of the $60,000 of these loans, how much does the small business owner have to repay before the deadline? And is the application condition same as the previous before the extension? That would be the question, and we have a follow-up after.
Well, the CEBA whole issue is $73 billion that has put aside specifically for these interest-free loans of up to $60,000. And I believe the first 20 was forgivable, and repaying the balance of that loan on or before December 31st, 2022, which means that's, again, as I said, a $20,000 loan forgiveness, which I hope is a big help to people. As of December 4th, 2020, the approved CEBA applicants can now, of course, apply for that extra $20,000. The applicants who have already received the $40,000 CEBA loan may apply the CEBA expansion, which provides the eligible businesses, if they want the access to the additional $20,000. CEBA is available from 220 financial institutions across the country. It's taken longer than anticipated to make all of these processes, and I know it was very frustrating for a lot of people, but we are working to assure that as many people who require help are getting it. We're working to try to finalize the processes for applicants as fast as possible, so we appreciate your patience. We have the money put aside, and we'll work with you with getting through those applications.
Okay, so we have a quick follow-up on that. So Ontario Provincial Caring Program gives a grant for small business to apply to a total of $40,000. It is generally split to two distributions, $20,000 in mid-year and end of the year. The small business owner does not have to be burdened with its repayment. So we're wondering if Judy can help our member carrying a message back to Ottawa. Is there a possibility for the federal government able to increase the portion of the loan for CEBA that the small business don't have to pay back? Or can we receive it as a grant and subsidy to help the small business owner to survive this extraordinary period?
Well, certainly the government is very open to doing everything it can. And as the Prime Minister continually says, we have your back. All of this are new initiatives, new things that none of us ever thought we would have to be dealing with. So we're trying to be the government's trying to be as flexible as possible to be able to provide the assistance that we know it's imperative that your businesses succeed. And so we're very open, and certainly in my conversations, we have a lot of conversations since we're using Zoom as a platform with the Prime Minister, the ministers on a continuous, at least 2 or 3 times a week. And so the opportunities for us to reflect what we hear, what we are hearing from our businesses and our constituents, that opportunity is there. So I certainly will reflect what I've heard on the call today. Back to Minister Ng as the Minister of Small Business. but back to the Prime Minister and so on through our caucus meetings. So we want to be able to help you. So letting us know what you need, what works and what doesn't work, and we move on from there.
Okay, great. Then I'll move on to the next question, which is related to building the economic. It also has a follow-up. We see that the federal government budget has provided a great number of funding for investment on many sectors of the business industry: agricultural, biotech, life science, AI research, and many other sectors. Well, we see that our member for TMAT, as a small business owner, we are already in these very sectors mentioned. We're wondering, how do our member benefit from these resources provided by our government, where we can find the much needed guide on how these investment is funneled through? If our member already have a proposal, who shall be the window for our member as a small business owner to approach?
Thank you very much, Daniel. Let me say to you that a plan for long-term recovery must look at challenges as well as opportunities in the future. It's got to be led by a growth strategy that builds on the advantages of the Canadian economy and makes sure that Canada is well positioned. This work begins with people like you folks that are on this call, and it begins with innovation, awareness, and proactive work. Again, what we're talking about today is what we can do to advance, build back better, what more we can be doing. Having these roundtables like the one today with myself and other members of Parliament to hear at the ground level what needs to be done are part of our way of we're going to get through this pandemic. So associations such as TMAT, of course, are an integral part of creating awareness about the important programs available to all their members. So association members can help spread the word amongst their own community about how Budget 2021 can be helpful for small businesses. But also the Chamber of Commerce is another access point for TMAT to be working with so that your voices are heard, as well as through your local members of Parliament. I'm sure you all know who they are in your various areas. If not, we're happy to connect you. So that there's an awful lot in this budget. It's a huge document, and we tried to have help for absolutely everybody in there, whether we're talking about seniors care and increasing seniors pensions, so they have more money to spend into many of the restaurants and the stores and so on, to helping people get back on their feet as much as possible as we continue on.
Okay, so with the follow-up on that question, Judy, you mentioned that we can approach through our association and maybe another Chamber of Commerce, where we hope that we will be down the road. So as a business association of small business owner in the many different sectors, where and how can we as an association help distribute, assist our member to benefit from these investments listed in the budget?
Well, Budget 21 investments are going to create or maintain over 330,000 jobs in Canada by 22-23. The budget also creates almost 500,000 new training and work experience opportunities for Canadians. And I know many of you, as you want to expand your business, are interested in how are you going to find the workers that you need and then where are they going to get the training as well. So following through as part of our commitment to create 1 million jobs by the end of the year, those jobs are going to come through investment in infrastructure, which is why we're offering an extension of the wage, rent, and lockdown support subsidies, because we know for some businesses it's going to take till December, and it may take longer than that, but we hope not. So creating new opportunities for skilled tradespeople, 470 million for apprenticeship works, which is, again, all of these are areas where your business people can take advantage of. 55,000 more apprenticeship positions in construction, trades, small and medium-sized employers. So they're sufficient there in a variety of different ways to be able to help out.
Thank you. Okay, so that will move on us to the third question, which I think is another field that as all business and government would like to know, is job creation. Many of our members as a business owner during this period are having a hard time keeping our existing worker. As a business owner, we do like to be able to recruit new blood into our workforce, but that is generally if we can keep those who are already working and trained with us. We see that there is hundreds of millions of investment in this budget for different sector, trade, and skill training for job creation. Is there a way government is able to help us better retain and perhaps better train our existing workforce that is already impacted by the pandemic to stay with the business, which may further give us the better chance to recruit new and younger workers?
Well, certainly, Daniel, that has to be the goal. The government has announced in this budget a new program, and it's called the Canada Recovering Hiring Program. I know it sounds like a long name, and it is, but we can provide you additional information on all of it afterwards. But the Canada Recovering Hiring Program for eligible employers that continue to experiencing qualifying declines in revenue are looking to have a wage subsidy and hiring program that will gradually increase those opportunities and the training. So we're not talking, when we talk about creating 500,000 jobs, a lot of that is going to be providing training and other support so that folks who are new into different businesses have the young people, can train them, and the young people will stay there. And get the training they need to have a career in the various areas. So there's $960 million over the next 3 years, specifically for those kinds of programs.
Thank you. Let me then just move on to the next one, which is also related to job, the low wage workers area. So many of our association's members are in the restaurant business and small retail. Many of their workers are part-time or low-wage workers. Since our business are already running on a pay-per-cent budget margin, changing the cost of human resource and labor with fluctuating market revenue is a major pressure for these small restaurant business owners. Our restaurant business owners and other small retail business owners are very scared of certain increase of labor costs and certain loss of business revenue, like what we see both in SARS 10 years ago and COVID that literally flatlined their industry. If the federal government want to implement the $15 minimum wage policy for all the entry workforce, are there assistance package to help business owners lessen the impact on the increased labor costs in the short-term horizon? What if the long-term horizon, the market recovery took longer than expected? Is there a way the government can help these small business owners retain its workforce?
Again, that's Daniel, that's an important goal of the government, is to say, okay, what is necessary for us to do? So it is the government of Canada's intention to introduce legislation at the federal level to establish a minimum wage of $15 an hour, but that's at the federal level. This will directly benefit over 26,000 workers who currently make less than $15 an hour in the federally regulated private sector. But enhancing the Canada worker benefit will help 1 million additional low-wage jobs, and extending the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy at minimum until September 2021, and adding on additional works of recovery benefit and EI provide opportunity for people to learning new professions, new entry into different businesses that are there, and to help in the maximum amount of way possible.
Okay, thank you. Number 5 is the tourism. I can definitely say this is also very important to our president. So we see there are tens to hundreds of millions of dollars as investment in this budget for the recovery of tourism industry. It is especially important for TMA's current president, who owns a tourist company, and many of our members who are in the travel, restaurant, and retail sector. These members are basically a whole supply chain, so interconnected that impact to any one sector will have a drastic effect on the other sector almost immediately. We see there are funding and investment for arts, culture, community event, festival, transportation, destination promotion, marketing, and local tourism business that is almost wiped out. How do we apply for and be part of these investment and benefit, since so many of our members are right in the middle of these industry? Who shall these members approach to get these guidance on applying for these investment?
Well, thank you, Daniel. And when we talk about tourism, those are all the nice things. Somehow, those are the things that we enjoy, the ability to be able to travel, to see the world, to see our own country. It all seems like it was million years ago, and absolutely everybody I talk to is just so anxious to be able to get out, enjoy the different cultural activities, to be able to travel, and just enjoy all the wonderful activities that always go on in our country, and that we're all suffering as a result. So the people are suffering, and certainly the businesses are suffering. So Canada, in this budget alone, has committed $1 billion over the next 3 years. $200 million is going to be to help regional development agencies to support major festivals and major events, which certainly the Taiwanese community, Chinese community are very good at doing those events. $200 million, of course, to Canadian Heritage, that will have available money to support local festivals, community cultural events, outside theater performances, local museums, amateur sports events. So that's through Canadian Heritage, where you could apply to access some of that funding. And again, your local MP is more than available, or my office is, to assist in these grant applications. Another investment of $100 million is for Destination Canada, which will be doing a marketing campaign to help Canadians and other visitors explore our wonderful country, which should help again in this whole realm of tourism. And support for local tourism businesses. There's $500 million for the Tourism Relief Fund. So when you throw out all these millions and millions of dollars, you can understand how we rack up into the billions. But we're trying to be very specific to try to put that investment into tourism. And of course, then there's the safe air travel issue, which has affected a lot of people. So we put $82 million into Transport Canada to support our major Canadian airports in making investments when it comes to the testing infrastructure for COVID-19. So there's a lot of money going out in a variety of different areas within the government, hopefully targeted to be able to help many of your members. But accessing all of this money is sometimes a significant challenge as well. So people need to know where to go. And if you don't know where to start with your local member of parliament. They'd be more than happy to help you, I'm sure, or give my office a call and you can always speak to Teddy.
Great, thank you. And I can see that Teddy in the chat 在那个我们的交流那个里面有丢了一个网页。He has put a link in the chat on some of the government press release regarding about job growth and resilience. So maybe some of our members can look at that. 我们也会收集这些资讯，那个在会议结束之后分发给我们的会员。Okay, so let me move on to. Yeah.
我们等一下有一位朋友有问那个问题哈，等一下再跟您提问。好，
没有关系，我们的时间有点提早，所以可以那个。Okay, so one last question from the startup questions. So number 6 is the trying to position ourselves for TMAT as a community partner in these policies. So the question would be, TMAT as a business association and with its interaction between as many members, sharing and exchanging of information that we have seen many government budget, the numbers that wows our eyes. But many times we feel these funding numbers are just so far away from us. Many of our members, especially the new entrepreneur, small business owner, small restaurant owner, small retails and distribution chain, supply chain, simply just don't know the channel to access these resources our government has located. But we make up 97% or 98%, like how Minister Ng says, is the business in Canada's economic. Is there a way TMAT as an association able to act as a bi-directional channel to help communicate, facilitate, recommend, bridge, and connect our government with our members and the small business we represent? This is especially important as many of our members are in the hardest hit sector of tourism, retail, restaurant business during this pandemic.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And, that's very important. You're hearing me talk about billions and billions of dollars into a variety of different areas. But how you have to know about them, which is part of what we're trying to do today, is get the message out there. We have a budget that's about 6 inches thick, and it has assistance for absolutely everybody. As I mentioned earlier, a 10% increase to the old age security pension for seniors over the age of 75 as one example. And that means that seniors will have more money in their pockets to go and to spend in a variety of whether it's traveling or enjoying the restaurants and the wonderful food and all the rest of it. So one of the sites on the COVID-19 and the Government of Canada site is the Economic Response Plan website. And information is there to support both the employees and local businesses. There's also the Canadian Business Resilience Network. So there's a lot of different networks and avenues out there to try to help you access the money and to see where it is. So if you can go on Government of Canada website, specifically put in there what you're looking for via budget 2021. And a lot of things were going to pop up, and you have to go through that file to see. But I am sure that the TMAT, together with the Canadian Chamber of Commerce and the other networks, the role of all of us is to make sure that we are communicating the help that the government's putting out there. Would not want to hear a couple of years from now that your businesses went under because you didn't know there was a fund to access. Certainly the $60,000 is a huge help to many of the businesses. We know that, as well as the wage subsidy and the rent subsidy. All of those are there to ensure that we are getting help out to you. If there's an area that we still have not covered, we need to hear that. I need to hear that so that I can report back to the Prime Minister, to the ministers, that there's an area that we have not been able to provide assistance. One of the areas that was really left to the very end, of course, was the issue with our airlines. And it took a very long time to be able to get an arrangement with Air Canada and the other airlines to make sure that people got their money back. And people are now in the process of applying to Air Canada, as an example, for those refunds, so that they can turn around once they've got that money in their hand and decide what they're going to do as far as traveling. The other was the issue of travel agencies, which many are manned by people in TMAT, and not able to get back the minimal amount of money they get as a fee. Apparently it still hasn't started to flow, but that was also part of the agreement. And we had to argue at length as MPs on all of these issues so that they would be bringing in the various programs that we felt were necessary, that we were hearing from folks like yourself that needed the help with.
Great, thank you, Judy. So we have one question from the audience. The question is that the enhanced student exchange between Canada and Taiwan and encourage more students from Taiwan to study in Canada versus to the US. So I guess the person is trying to ask, there's a student exchange program between Canada and Taiwan, and of course there's another one that in the between Taiwan and US. Is there a way that perhaps we can sweeten the deal better? So instead of they go to the US, and we can come to Canada.
Well, we'd like them just to come to Canada. That would be the government's preferred position. And frankly, I think they can do really well in our country. And I think we have expressed our appreciation and our love for the Taiwanese people and their entrepreneurship, the gentleness of the people of Taiwan. So I believe there's a discussion ongoing about increasing the numbers and trying to attract more from the Taiwanese community to certainly to come to Canada. And by the way, we mustn't let this meeting go by without acknowledging President Tai receiving the John McCain Leadership Award at the Halifax Security Forum. I did a statement in the House on Friday recognizing the fabulous work that Taiwan has done under the leadership of President Tai. In battling the fight against this pandemic, and it's very important that Taiwan have an opportunity to be able to go to the necessary forums and share the knowledge, because we're still in this battle, and I think we still have a lot to learn from Taiwan as we move forward. So you should all be very, very proud of what Taiwan and the fact that you're Taiwanese, and let the world know more and more about Taiwan. My son-in-law mentioned Taiwan to me the other day, and about how Taiwan is building so many battery affiliates and so on and so forth. So, you know what? Taiwan, maybe not that big a country, but is certainly having an impact in a lot of different ways, and that's through a lot of the work that you're all doing as well.
Okay, so I actually have a friend send me a private question, and he has been traveling between Taiwan and Canada quite often, and I can attest to his question is, many of our members, for example, like our founding member Timo Yu, are part of a corporation that's helping distributing Taiwan's product into Canada. So many of our business member has connection back with our corporation and maybe their family business back in Taiwan. But many of them have that worry of invest in a foreign area, because Taiwan and Canada, those were really friendly, but we don't have a formal diplomatic tie, and a lot of non-treaty is all mostly gentlemen's agreement. Is there a way that Canada can promote and allow Taiwan's corporation internationally to have a joint venture in Canada or invest in Canada? Is there a way government of Canada can promote that?
Well, let me say that with our trade agreements and the CPTPP and a variety of other trade agreements that are currently there, part of our Build Back Better and for Canada to be growing is going to be able to have more trade agreements with more countries that share our views and our desires. Taiwan is very similar to Canada in so many ways. We share the same principles, the same morals, and the same goals as far as I'm concerned. And I believe that's the way most of us think. So we would like to see more trade agreements and more opportunities for the export and for the import between Canada and Taiwan. I certainly recently had a meeting with GAC and talking again about where can we get more opportunities to move that trade agenda along, because it's really good for Canada and really good for Taiwan. So we need to continue. I think we would have probably been able to move forward on that trade agreement with Taiwan had we not had the pandemic. Certainly, the pandemic has taken so far a year and a half out of a lot of different programs that Canada was trying to move forward and advance. And we were actually going to have Taiwan on to our trade committee to get an update on just where we are with trade as another opportunity to profile that. So we have to keep on pushing as much as we possibly can.
Thank you, Judy. We're kind of close to the 2:55 mark. Why don't I, Annie? Why don't I open the question to the floor, maybe for one, maybe maximum 2 questions for our participant to ask. 我那个让大家可以问大概1个到2个问题，因为时间上的要求。请用举手的方式，那个我会让您可以那个问问题，请把问题保留在30秒里面，所以说我们可以尽量挤一些时间给 Judy 回答。
好，我们现在可以请大家把问题写在 chat 的部分。
Hi, Judy. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'd like to ask a couple of questions. The first question, I think Canada used to have a trade office in Taipei. And if I'm right, I think the trade office apparently is closed. I don't know if it's closed temporarily or just closed permanently. And then the office is being relocated to Hong Kong. And I don't know what's why is that why is that the move, or is that plan to reopen the trade office in Taipei shortly? And second question is also about the infrastructure development. I think in the U.S., with the environment, with everything else, they are talking about plans to build and install a lot of EV charging stations on the major highway or major locations. And then I just wonder if Canada is working on that direction as well.
Well, certainly the issue of the charging stations and the whole moving forward on the electric cars, that's really becoming that's a major part of our Build Back Better, is going to be working and seeing that we're going to be having electric cars. It's part of our climate goals as well. And the EV charging stations, whether they're at gas stations on the highway and so on, we have invested a lot of money into the auto industry when it comes to the electric vehicles. And so going along with that, of course, are charging stations, because you can't have one without the other. So having charging stations for people to be making them affordable for them to be having a charging station at their own homes, at gas stations, on the highways, and locally. I think you'll see a lot of that happening. It's part of our climate change goals as well. But most importantly, it's the way of the future. And Canada has to be up there, and it is. At our International Trade Committee, in fact, we were talking extensively about the electric vehicles and the batteries, and how Taiwan is one of the leaders when it comes to producing the batteries and all of the elements that are required to operate a lot of these electric vehicles. So we'll be moving forward on it, absolutely. As far as the trade office, I have visited that trade office. I would be surprised that I thought it was still there, but I certainly will get back to Daniel with the answer. I'll inquire about that tomorrow, so I can find out what's happening with it. But Canada, I believe, is investing something like $123 million into the whole issue of charging stations and electric vehicles and so on. But Daniel, if you can keep track of the gentleman that asked me the question about the trade office, and I will inquire on Monday so that we can get a more appropriate answer.
Yep, I will do that, and I will follow up with the member and your office.
Okay, thank you, Daniel.
Okay, unfortunately, our time is coming to a very, very close ending. So I'll have the honor for our founding president, Timo, to have a closing remark, and thanks, Judy, for the help.
我们现在有请我们多伦多台湾商会的监事长尤宗熙尤先生来跟我们做一个谢词给我们的这个议员Judy Sgro。来，尤先生，请。
Thank you for Daniel and Annie and Honorable MP for Judy Sgro and President Annie Chen and teammates Advisor Peter Wang. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the teammates, I wish to extend our warmest welcome to the representative of the Canada government through this virtual meeting regarding the small and medium-sized enterprise development policy. MP Judy Sgro is here today to represent both Canada and Taiwan, as she is the chairwoman of the Canada and Taiwan Parliamentary Friendship Group. We would like to thank her for her letter to the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, MP Flip, which including signature of 35 congressmen and women in support of the accepting Taiwan to participate in the WHA, Interpol, UNFCCC, ICAO, and join the CPTPP and FIPA agreement. Last month, on April 27, Judy was able to gather support from other friendship associations of different countries via Twitter and Facebook through the release of a video to hopefully allow acceptance for Taiwan's participation in the WHA in the future. Finally, we would like to express our appreciation to Judy for sharing information and policies of the Canadian government. Thank you everyone for your participation today and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timo. Judy, thank you so very much in joining us and giving us the budget update of our for the policy the government is taking care of. I'm sure TMAT and President Annie and her organization will be keeping in contact. I will work closely with them, connecting your office. And Peter, who's living your riding, is always your stanch supporter. So, and he's as you can see that he's a very big business owner. So is Timo. All the soy sauce that you pick up in the TNT are most likely coming from Timo's warehouse, and pretty much across the country. And we would love to have you, in the near future. Perhaps we can have another event. If you can share us some of the lighting of what happened in Ottawa and perhaps anywhere that these business owner here can help you. And perhaps if you have any questions regarding to Asian, in terms of how to interact in the Asian, and as we can see, it's almost like a powder keg over there now.
Yes.
But there's definitely expertise in our organization here. Perhaps you can seek some of the local advice over there, and they're hoping to interact with you further. I will definitely contact your office after.
Thank you very much to Timo, to Peter, Annie, to Daniel. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I believe that as members of Parliament, a big role for us is talking and listening to the people that we represent. And so it's invaluable to me to have the information of being able to talk to you and to hear from you the areas that the government still needs work to be done on to help you and your families. So I'm thrilled with the opportunity. I'm happy to get together anytime that you'd like to do another one of these Zoom calls and get some additional information on one issue or another. Please know that my office is always available. And again, thank you, Peter, Daniel, Annie, Timo. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity. Please stay safe, stay well, and until the next time where we can get together. My office number for many of you who know Teddy already, in case you want to give the office a call, is 416-744-1882. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, Judy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you for Judy. Thank you for Judy's talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I come back to Toronto. Thank you.
All right, I look forward to that. Okay, Philip, I'll see you then. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
好，那我们
我们现在是不是到我们这个精彩的时段了呢？
对，最重要，大家愿意留下来的那个理由了。
对，这个大家，我今天真的非常感动哈。现在目前呢，我们上面还有53位朋友哈，都还在这个线上等候着我们哈。那刚刚哈，我们我先把这个于正昌哈，于会计师他有提问的这个问题呢，我们要把它全部拿下来，然后可以让您带回去来问这个Judy 哈。所以我们可以给他一个最少我们可以给他一个回应这样子。好，那个于正昌于会计师，您还在这个地方吗？
好像已经下线了，他名单
嘿，他好像他跑快啊，
他名字已经不在了。
好，没有关系哈。好，那刚刚这个 Daniel， 你有没有把他的问题写下来？
有，我会跟Judy follow up 一下，然后我再跟你们商会联络，所以说我们可以把这个资料送去给于会计师。
好，那接下来呢，该我们进入我们这个整个节目的最高潮了哈。那我们很开心看到我们包括我跟 Daniel 2位在内，我们现在目前线上还有52位朋友，这是我看到最难得的一幕哈。那个 Daniel 呢，您那边是不是有我们今天的名单了呢？
是的，而且我已经刚刚把它放到了那个转盘上面去了。
OK， 好，那我们现在呢就开始来抽奖哈。Peter 哥在这边吗？就是我们的黄玉先生，他也是我们的多伦多台湾商会的顾问哈，现任顾问，资深顾问 Peter 哥，您在这边吗？
在，好，大家好。谢
谢，我们
谢谢，我在。
首先我要对这一次主办的这个台湾商会跟世华工商妇女会这个因为刚刚时间紧促，主持人忘了这个请 Lisa 也应该要做一下感谢词一下，结果这个很抱歉，所以没有安排这个行程。就这样，谢谢。
我会特定的跟Judy 的办公室让他了解这一次的这个 organizing 的这个部分，所以说 Lisa 姐真的谢谢您台湾的帮忙，我们台湾人对这个非常非常的重要请你讲几句话吧。
对，我们现在还是有很多人在场我们有请世华工商妇女会多伦多分会的副会长林丽娟林小姐林女士来跟我们讲几句话。来，我们把麦克风交给您。
好，大家午安，大家好。现在很高兴在这疫情期间跟大家网络上相见，在网上开会。那就是说因为我们的会长现在在台湾Candy 林，所以现在晚上他们已经很晚了，所以由我代表来参加这个会议。那其实这一次非常感谢安妮会长，还有 Peter， 还有 Timo 有懂就是你们筹划，那我们只是一起举办，但是实际我们没有什么帮忙到所以下次如果有需要更多的服务再跟我们讲。那今天也在这里祝大家母亲节快乐，然后疫情期间 stay safe, stay healthy。
非常谢谢 Lisa 姐。好，那Peter 哥，我们还有没有哪一位我们需要有请到他上来讲一下话 ？Peter 哥，麻烦您。
我看到有我们的金委员还有我们温哥华的这个蔡春松乔委员还有我们的尤慈欣会长是这个都是我们比较这个眼课的。那如果说现在请我们那个蔡春松这个跟我们大家之后致意一下吧，大家认识一下。
温哥华远道而来哦。
委员，他还在线上吗？
祝大家母亲节快乐，平安健康，谢谢。
谢谢委员，谢谢委员。金委员，你还在线上吗？
有，他应该还在线上。
对了，请大家都保重啊！谢谢。
金委员，谢谢。
那个尤会长，是尤慈欣会长，你是不是现任的侨委员？我还忘了。
他还在线上嘛？他可能要 unmute 一下。
OK 了。大家好。首先先祝大家母亲节快乐。我是第一次参加你们这个多伦多台湾商会，还有跟世华一起办的活动。是因为我们昨天也办了一些母亲节的模范母亲的选拔，所以很晚了。今天早上一看到说你们今天有活动，所以我马上就加进来。非常谢谢跟我们分享那么好的为我们台湾加油的一些活动了谢谢大家。
谢谢。好，那么我们还有 miss 掉任何人吗？如果没有的话，就是要来压轴好戏喽。
那在我压轴好戏之前呢，因为我们为了要避免就是说有这个怎么讲事先安排的这种疑虑我会开始呢，我就会 record， 就是我会录影就是我们抽奖的整个过程以及这个轮盘的部分好，那个 Daniel 可不可以请你把这个我们的轮盘搬出来了呢？当，
请等我一下。
等一下我们先来跟大家报告一下这个 Peter 委员黄委员他给我们提供了这10项礼品呢，真的是非常的精彩丰富，真的是超过了1000元加币的礼品。那么现在呢，先来抽5个这个耳机Peter 哥，请问一下您有没有那个耳机长得什么样子啊？秀给我们看一下吗？谢谢。
Peter 哥现在去哪了
？Daniel 就麻烦您把我们的这个轮盘扛出来了，好吗？
这看得到吗？看得到吗？
等一下，我看看到了，
好，我把轮盘搬出来等我一下
搬出来了我们总共有5个，我们先来抽5个5位幸运朋友只有留到最后就是有大奖了好，来了。
好，大家都看到轮盘了好，第一抽。
我们开始抽第1位幸运的奖主了请不要跑掉等一下抽到您的话请把您的 email address 写出来。哇 ，K 头套有在这个线上吗？请您把您的 email address 马上输入谢谢。
好了，那这样子告诉我随时准备好，我就准备下一个咯。
是，请抽下一位。
好，第2抽。 树林。
好，接下来下一位幸运得奖者是修林涛兔。修林涛兔，请问一下，您有没有在这个上面呢？如果有，请您赶快把您的 email address 打在我们的 chat 上面了哈，好，让我们可以把礼品送给您了哈。好。
好，那就第二抽完毕。
OK， 第二抽完毕哈，然后我们再接下来第3位，我把这个修林。
好，进入第3抽。
接下来下一位的幸运得奖主是 Jenny Lin。Jenny Lin，
谢谢。
哎，请您把您的 email address 打到我们的 chat 上面好吗
？OK， 谢谢。
好，那么第3抽完毕，接下来进入第4抽。第4抽。
第4抽是我们常常都有上来的这个飞利浦哈，邢真辉邢先生哈，请您把您的 email address 打在我们的 chat 上面哦，谢谢您。
好，第4抽结束，我们现在准备进入第5抽。
好，在这个第5抽之前呢，我们全部都是这个耳机的部分哈。好，我们最后一位的耳机，好，来，请抽奖。沈怡君，沈小姐，你在线上吗？
我在，可是因为我在开车，我等一下停车，我再输我的 email。
没有关系，不然您讲给我们听可以吗？我帮您打上来好吗？沈怡君。
我在1分钟就可以停车了，可以等我一下吗？
好，没有问题。那等一下麻烦您就是写沈怡君哈，跟您的那个 email address 哦哈，谢谢您。
没问题。
好，谢谢。
好，第5抽结束哦，然后
Daniel， 你先等我一下哈。
对，我现在在等你。
这个我们刚刚这5位呢，都是这个耳机的部分哈。耳机的部分，好，精彩来了 ，Peter 哥，下一个更上一阶的这个礼品，请秀出来给我们看好吗？是不是这个麦克风？哦，我头一次参加这个会这个会后大家都还很愿意留下来，头一次52位还盯在这个上面来 ，Peter 哥，麻烦您一下秀一下给我们看好吗？
看到了吗？这个是卡拉 OK 的这个在家里唱的比较高级版的卡拉 OK 麦克风，可以自己在家里唱歌的，是。
哇塞，看这一根麦克风很长哦，就大机的哦。OK， 好 ，Daniel， 麻烦您了，麦克风
嘿，好，那个麦克风第6抽。
Daniel， 我们没有看到那个转盘哦。Angela Tao， 请问一下，您有没有在线上的 Angela Tao？
那个有你们看一下，因为我这边看不到那个 list 哦，我只能看那个光盘这样的。
有看到它上线。
对，有看到他还在上线然后我们等一下呢，我们给他15秒钟的时间让他来讲。好，如果他没有回应呢，那可能他现在没有办法麦克。OK， 他有回应了
他有回应哦。
好，第6抽结束。
那我们就请那个 Angela 呢，她把她的 email address 呢打在这个我们的 chat 上面了哈。好 ，OK。
好，第6抽结束啊，第7抽是什么东西？
第7抽 Peter 哥，麻烦您把这个礼物拿到荧幕前面来好吗？
呀，这个是那个 HD 的那个 DVR 是行车记录器。
哇塞，行车记录器耶！哇，
看到吗？
等一下，我没有看到行车记录器哈，等等哦，我们看一下哈，行车记录器，我把它写下来哈，行车记录器 ，OK，Daniel，
好，
开始抽啦，
第7抽。
是不是上届车迄个敢有伫遮？
有啊，谢谢，太幸运了。
真好哈，阮多伦多台湾商会第2副会长哈。麻烦你甲上车，麻烦你甲你的 email address 拍同来那个 chat 面顶哦哈。
OK， 好，谢谢。
哇，真好，中了一个行车记录器。对，啊，请问有塞车无哈？唔知你有塞车？行车记录器哈。伊讲你有塞车无？你若无塞车，不要紧啦吼，你会使送互我用吼。
OK。
无啦，我公说的吼，这样有作弊嫌疑吼。好，那我们接下来再麻烦 Daniel 再帮我们转。等一下，还没有哈，在我们要转下一个之前呢，下一个Peter 哥，麻烦您把下一位一样更好的这个礼品拿出来哈。我们下一件礼品是什么呢？先不要抽哦。
还没。
Peter 哥，我们先看一下来。
看到了吗？
分一下，没有看到，没有看到。
你的那个 background 的那个相机把它盖掉了，是什么东西？只看到台湾 can help 的那个部分而已。
OK。
那我们要来抽台湾 can help 吗？哈。
我用讲的就好了。HP 的27寸的 monitor 是 V27
寸的 monitor 出来了哦哈。
这个很不错的 monitor 是
27寸的哦哈，到时阵哈谁抽到就去引导摇嘿 ，OK 好。好，我们现在就请 Daniel 来帮我们抽27寸的，很紧张哦。
没抽到不要跑来找我哈。OK 好，那个第8抽。
哇 ，Frank Wang 太幸运了吧 ！Frank Wang， 你有没有在线上呢？有没有从头听到尾呢？哦，现在真的太精彩了！我们从来没有一次办讲座哈，这么久还大家都留在这边，54个人都不肯走的哦，太厉害了 ！Peter 哥，你实在太厉害了哈 ！Daniel partner 人气超级旺哈！
因为 Peter 的东西特别多啊，大家舍不得。
我好像有听到这个文豪哈当属长你讲话哈，那文豪当属长，等一下有没有可能很冲动的就要送我们一些什么好吃的东西啊哈？好 ，Frank，
这次让给 Peter 了，下次我们再来了哦。
好，够有听哈，好来 ，Frank Wang 哈，请您把您的 email address 打在我们的 chat 上面哦。Frank Wang 还有在线上吗？给你15秒的时间，给您15秒的时间哦，俾你10秒鐘啊！哈，麻煩你打咗你嘅 email address 啊，喺個 chat 嗰邊啊。他有打上來了嗎 ？Frank 有沒有在這上面呢？我們倒數計時了哈，有嗎？
有在。
太好了，好。那请您把您的那个 email address 打在这个上面了哈，我们好把这个告诉您这个如何拿奖品哈。
谢谢啦，没有关系，Daniel帮忙就好了。
哦，我那个知道是谁了。
Daniel 帮忙就好了。Daniel 你认识？
我那个我知道，这个Frank Wang我知道。
汪大哥好，汪大哥，嘿，好 ，OK， 好。进入最高潮，54个到现在都还留在线上，真是实力。 什么呢？因为咱上后尾一届的上大的奖品来了，来 Peter 哥，麻烦你吼，迄台有法度拿出来不？
现在是那个
Daniel， 麻烦你先不要把这个扛出来，我们要先看 Peter 哥那个哦，兴奋一下哈。虽然丢没有啦，
这是最后一个奖了，是吧？
对，
没有，
最后一个奖了，最后一个奖了。
没有，还有2个啦，一个是 Xbox 的那个 gaming machine 哈，
还有一台游戏机
是玩 TV 的啊，另外一个是 TV 啦，所以这个是第9奖，第9抽了。
OK， 第9抽 Xbox 哈。
跟 Microsoft
的那个刚跨台湾朋友。
哦，Xbox 这个是要排队的嘞，这个
看不到吗？
没有看不到，我们看不到。
我们看到台湾 can help。
我看到台湾 can help。OK。我看不到，来了 A。看 OK， 10好10看得到，10看不到嘞。
错了。
OK， 就是 Xbox 的 model 我告诉你们一下。Xbox One S 啦，那个是 1TB 的 4K 的 HDR 哈，是那个
4K 的 HDR，OK。
因为这个体积太大了，可能是看不清楚。
你看今天哦，还这么多人，你看 Peter 跟会长的魅力有多大？以前哦没有这么多人，今天因为 Peter 加入，你看那个奖品这么丰富，你看大家都舍不得走。
真的哦，我头一次遇到啦，开这个讲座54个，到现在还不肯走的哦，还盯在这里哦。
这样的，大家是 OK。
Peter， 你看人家要走都不好意思，要去睡午觉都不好意思去睡觉。
好，来，会使抽啊未？好，来 ，Peter 哥，让你说开始抽来，好，你讲。
可以抽的。争取时间，因为大家可能都在忙。
谢谢你。
Jerry， 恭喜您中了我们的 Xbox 4K HDR， 请问您有在线上吗？15秒钟哦哈，限你赶快回应一下哦哈。
Jerry 已经不在线喽。
Jerry 已经不在线上了，那不好意思，我们就要把它移除了哈。我们再重抽，不好意思哈，重新抽哈。拍谁若下线了，我们就把它拿掉了哈。好，来重新抽一下了，好 ，Daniel 麻烦您一下。
just take a look.
OK， 开始抽喽。
请抽。
Eric Wu 他那个时候有可能已经离开了，先确认一下他有没有再回来。
Eric Wu 他是来自美国北卡莱纳州的会长，对，他叫吴敬月，嘿，他也是
他一开始有在中途就离开，说给他打一个星星，因为他中途就已经不在了。
OK， 好
，OK， 那我们就再抽一次了。
好，那我们再抽一次哦。这个 Xbox 真耐抽哦，哈，抽这么多次哦。OK， 好，那我们再下一位哈。
Kirk Lu。Kirk
Lu 还在吗 ？Kirk Lu 刘应该是刘先生。
他有回话，他
有回话哈、哦。
恭喜
Kirk Lu， 嘿。好，那我们麻烦那个 Kirk 呢，您把您的 email address 啊写在 chat 的部分哦，嘿，我们好领奖的方式呢，那个用 email 方式给您了哈。好，您是抽中了 Xbox 的 4K HDR。好，接下来下一样真的是我们最大的奖品，那一台可以让我们再看一下嘛？我知道时间已经就是拖太久了哈。 我们现在抽奖的时间不过花了14分钟这样子，大家一定要等着看。
主页图片上都已经有秀出来，但是你要看，我来这里看看那个是，哎，有看到，不知道
57寸哦，很大一台哦。
57寸的，
看不到这个，你那个图片上有嘛？所以
对，我们图片上有，好，没有关系。那我们直接用口述的方式哈，57寸的大电视哦，哈，57寸大电视，大家准备好了，不要离座哈。这个如果15秒钟哈，你没有在上面回应的话哈，我们就跳下一位啊哈。准备好了吗？准备好了 ，Daniel， 你准备好了吗？
我随时都 OK。
OK， 好，那我们就进行抽我们最大57寸奖 Daniel 盘。来 ，Daniel， 请把我们的对拿出来，好，转盘下去啦。
转啦，最后一抽。
金佑还在线上吗？金佑
有在，有没有听到？我不会用这个。
哟，太好了，金佑，您有恭喜您抽到我们今天最大的奖品57寸。对，好，那个金，麻烦您把，你说。
我不会用这个，第一次用你们这个哈。我的那 email 是 yujan toronto@gmail.com。
好，我写下来了哈，yujan toronto@gmail.com 对吗？
对，要不要我电话？
哦，好，您如果有那个手机可以留给我啊，您可不可以？你不介意的话，用50个人来这写上，对，
好，没有关系，我告诉你啊。
好 ，OK， 嘿，我在写
598，
哎
3883。
OK， 好，谢谢你。那我们今天的抽奖呢，跟我们今天的节目呢，就到这边告一个段落了。非常的感谢每一位这个先进们的参与哈，感谢你们，非常感谢咱今仔日大家起来这听这个讲座的每一位哈，感谢大家。好，那祝大家平安，我们就下次再见哈。那有中奖的朋友呢？我们会把您的这个礼物呢，用 email 的方式呢给您。
拜拜。
谢谢。
拜拜。谢谢。
谢谢。
拜拜。欢快计时。
拜拜。
谢谢。拜拜。哦，我们的时间还抓得很准呢，真的3点半结束了。
3点半。
拜拜。
是。
拜拜，感谢大家哈，远道而来哦哈，
怎么弄都还不会，还搞不清。好，谢谢，拜拜。
谢谢，拜。
这个怎么弄，我都还搞不清楚啊。
它那个，你如果是用手机的话，它的下面屏幕应该有个红色的叉啊。如果说你是用电脑的话，你可以看到一个红色的那个白色，中间有个白色的那个交叉，你可以出去，就可以用那个按出去。
好，这个得奖的朋友呢，哈，基本上领奖
红色这个就好了是吧？
对，按着红色的叉，它就会说帮你离开。对，有没有？
好，谢谢，再见哈，我就正好那个大电视谢谢。
好，谢谢。
好，拜拜。
刚刚有提供 email 的名单，我传一份给 Daniel。
拜拜。
谢谢，我有看到。
Daniel 啊，那个 Jack 的名字有没有在那个转盘上面啊？我很怀疑耶，那
有啊。
他怎么没有被抽到？
我也不知道，你的名字都在上面了，
这我已经习惯了，这种东西
习惯了。然后我好像也没有看到我的名字在上面呢。
有啊，你的是我名单就放上去了。
对，好， 那个 Jack 今天很谢谢您出来帮我们的忙，把这个后台的部分都把它做。
事情而已。
也要谢谢那个谁，要谢谢那个滑铁卢的那个
关老师，关会长是
关会长，对，关会长他也用 email 寄给我了。
OK， 太好了。那个，因为刚刚前面的那个耳机的那个部分哈，沈怡君 Kato 套，还有那个 Shooting 套，还有 Angela 套，我有记下来，和我好像少了一位哎。
我都发给 Daniel 了。
OK， 太好了，好。
Daniel，我最开始给你的5个名字就是